Welcome back to the Deep Dive. It is January 21st, 2026. That holiday glow has officially faded. The sky is that very distinct shade of unmotivated gray.
Oh, yeah.
And if you are anything like the rest of us right now, you are aggressively doom-scrolling through travel apps. It's that time of year, isn't it?
It is the annual ritual. We're all freezing. We're back at work. And we are all convinced that if we just book a flight to somewhere with palm trees, our lives will, fundamentally change.
Right. And because the internet knows exactly what we're thinking, our feeds are just flooded.
Oh, completely.
Where to go in 2026, hidden gems, culinary hotspots, the places you must see before they
It's
sink.
the manifest your best life approach to travel planning. Very aspirational.
Very expensive.
Yeah.
Exactly. But today,
Yeah.
we are tossing those lists out the window.
Yeah.
We're doing something completely different. We aren't looking at where you should go. We're doing a deep dive into where you absolutely, under no circumstances, should go.
We're calling it the anti-bucket list.
The anti-bucket list. I like that. So our source for today is a blog post that has been making the rounds from Wanderlust Over 70 by a writer named Roberta Hill.
Okay.
And it's titled, Where Not to Travel in 2026 Based on Your Zodiac Sign. Now, I have to be honest with you right off the bat.
Uh-oh.
When I saw Zodiac, I almost scrolled right past. I mean, are we really going to tell people where to spend their vacation days based on star charts?
I had the exact same reaction. It just screams clickbait. But once you actually get into her methodology, it's surprisingly grounded.
How so?
She's not looking at planetary alignment or anything like that. She's using what she calls, and I love this phrase, social media trends, AI sentiment analysis, and a lifetime of trips that looked great on paper.
And felt deeply questionable in practice.
Exactly. We've all had that trip, right? The one that looked incredible on Instagram, but the actual experience was just a disaster.
Oh, absolutely. So she frames this as preventative travel planning.
That's the term. Her central argument is that we treat travel as a way to fix ourselves. We think, if I go to this quiet, remote cabin, I will become a quiet, peaceful person.
Right.
But Hill says the stars are tired of pretending. You bring your personality with you, and if that personality clashes with the environment, you are not going to have a breakthrough. You're going to have a meltdown.
So the goal today is basically to save our listeners from themselves.
Basically. We're going to identify the behavioral patterns of each sign, the stuff you actually do, not the stuff you wish you did.
Right.
And match those up with the destinations that are statistically most likely to drive you crazy in 2026.
Okay, I am sold. Let's get into it. We aren't going to do this in chronological order, though.
Yeah.
Looking at the source, these really group themselves into these specific travel nightmare themes.
Right. It helps to look at the psychology behind the mismatch. And the first group we really need to talk about is what I'm calling the control freaks versus chaos.
I feel like I'm about to be called out.
Maybe just a little. We are talking about Virgo, Capricorn, and Aries. These are the signs that, they generally need things to function or to move or just to make sense.
Okay, let's start with Virgo. I think of Virgos as the organizers, the spreadsheet people.
That's the one.
So where is the do not go zone for a Virgo?
According to Hill, a Virgo should absolutely avoid anywhere described in a travel guide as figure it out when you arrive.
That sounds vague, but is that really a deal breaker? I mean, isn't part of the joy of travel the spontaneity? Just seeing where the wind takes you?
For some people, yes. For a Virgo, that is the literal definition of hell. Hill argues this isn't just about being uptight, it's about cognitive load.
Cognitive load.
Yeah. A Virgo brain is constantly categorizing, optimizing, problem solving. So if you drop them in a place that runs on vibes rather than clear information...
Like no street signs or bus schedules that are just suggestions.
Exactly. Their brain can't rest. They aren't actually on vacation. They are the unpaid logistics manager for a chaotic city.
Right, they're working.
They're working. She writes that these places will slowly erode your goodwill toward humanity. Virgos don't travel to improvise. They travel to enjoy a plan that works.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. It's not relaxation if you're constantly troubleshooting.
Yeah.
So what about Capricorn? Also pretty structured, right?
They are, but for them, it's all about competence. And their do-not-go location is any place that gets marketed as chaotic but charming.
Ooh, chaotic but charming. That is classic travel writer speak. I feel like I see that description everywhere. It's supposed to mean authentic, right?
Hill says it's usually a lie. It's just a euphemism for missed connections, unclear rules, and infrastructure that, fails.
So sending a Capricorn to a place where island time is the law of the land is A bad idea.
A very bad idea. And here's the key insight from the source. We often tell ourselves, oh, I'll go to this chaotic place and it will teach me patience. It'll be a moral exercise.
I will learn to let go.
Hill's take is, no, you won't. You didn't pay thousands of dollars to practice patience as a moral exercise. You paid to relax.
That's fair.
When things don't work, a Capricorn doesn't find it charming. They find it incompetent. And nothing ruins their mood faster than incompetence.
That is a very sharp point.
Yeah.
Okay, rounding out this group, Aries. The fire sign. Bold, impulsive. Where should they stay away from?
Venice.
Whoa, hold on. Venice. That feels controversial. I mean, it's one of the most famous, beautiful cities on Earth.
It is, but it's not about the beauty. It's about the cues and the walking speed.
But it's Venice. Can't they just suck it up for the art and the history?
Think about the mechanics of the city. Hill describes Venice in 2026 as a series of cues disguised as romance. You are constantly stuck, just stuck behind walls of people.
Okay, the crowds are bad. I will give you that.
For an Aries, who is defined by movement, speed, and agency, this is kryptonite. Hill calls it a personality conflict. And Aries hates waiting more than almost anything.
So if you're stuck behind a tour group that's moving at what she calls the speed of contemplation,
You are not soaking in the history.
you're just angry.
You're furious. You're plotting escape routes. Her argument is that the environment fundamentally blocks the Aries energy. It is not a vacation if you spend 80% of it trying to physically get past slow walkers.
The speed of contemplation. I love that. Okay, so that's the mental friction group. Let's shift gears. The next group seems to move from the head to the body. Comfort, freedom, and the cage.
Right. This group, Taurus, Gemini, Sagittarius, is very sensitive to physical sensation and restriction. It's less about logic and more about how the trip feels.
Let's start with Taurus. I always associate Taurus with luxury. Good food, soft blankets, that kind of thing.
Exactly, which is why their do not go is rustic retreats.
But rustic is so trendy. The cabin in the woods, glamping, it's supposed to be grounding.
It's branding. Hill argues that rustic is often just marketing for uncomfortable furniture. She explicitly warns about chairs designed by someone who hates spines.
I think I've sat in that chair. It's usually made of reclaimed driftwood and regrets.
That is the one. A Taurus is the most tactile sign. They want texture, comfort, dinner on an actual plate, not a piece of slate. Hill puts it perfectly. You are not here to reconnect with hardship.
That is such a good reality check. We convince ourselves that being uncomfortable is somehow more real.
Right. But a Taurus on vacation wants to be pampered, not roleplay as a 19th century pioneer.
Makes sense. Now, what about Gemini, the social butterflies? Always curious.
And that curiosity is exactly why they should avoid all-inclusive resorts.
See, that one surprises me. I would have thought a resort would be perfect. Tons of people, activities, swim-up bars. Isn't that a social playground?
For about 24 hours, yes. But an all-inclusive is a contained environment. Hill warns that by day 2, a Gemini will feel emotionally contained.
Because it's the same variety every day. Same buffet, same pool.
Exactly. Geminis need genuine novelty. They need to change the plan on a dime. Being stuck in one compound, no matter how luxurious, feels like a cage. Hill describes the Gemini by day 3 as pacing the perimeter like a house cat.
Wristbands do not equal freedom. I love that line.
That's the one. If you can't leave easily, it's not a vacation, it's confinement.
Speaking of confinement, let's talk Sagittarius, the explorer, the sign of the traveler.
Their nightmare is cruises with rigid schedules.
This feels related to the Gemini point, but maybe more about authority.
It is. Sagittarius is the sign of freedom and expansion. They hate being told what to do. Hill describes the cruise experience, the announcements, the be back on the ship by 4 p.m. sharp as detention with ocean views.
Detention with ocean views. That is just scathing.
It is.
But cruise lovers say it's so convenient. You unpack once.
And it is convenient. But for a Sagittarius, convenience is not worth the loss of autonomy. If the freedom on your trip is dictated by a laminated itinerary slipped under your door, Hill says it's not freedom, it's just theater.
The illusion of adventure.
Exactly. A Sagittarius needs to be able to follow their nose. If they find a cool cafe in a port city, they want to stay there for 5 hours.
And on a cruise, that's impossible.
Impossible. The schedule is God, and that structure just kills their spirit.
I'm really seeing the pattern now. It's not that these places are objectively bad. It's that they require these personalities to suppress their natural instincts.
Precisely. It's all about the friction cost.
Okay, let's move to our third group, aesthetics and authenticity. We're talking Libra, Scorpio, and Leo.
This group is fascinating because it really touches on the Instagram industrial complex of modern travel.
Let's start with Libra. They love beauty, balance, harmony, so where shouldn't they go?
Party destinations, the Ibizas, the Mykonos beach clubs of the world.
Really? But parties are social. Libras are social.
They are social, but they want connection, not chaos. There is a huge difference. Hill points out that a Libra wants conversation. And you just can't have a charming, balanced conversation when you're shouting over bass-heavy music in what she calls sticky shoes.
Sticky shoes. Ugh,
Ew.
that is such a visceral detail. I can feel the floor right now.
It immediately paints the picture, right? The Libra is going to end up tired, annoyed, and, as the source puts it, quietly judgmental by noon. They need elegance. A rave is the opposite of elegance.
Okay, let's talk Scorpio. The intense, mysterious sign.
Their do not go is the Instagram famous town.
You mean those places that seem to exist only to be photographed?
Mm-hmm.
Pastel walls, flower arches?
Exactly. The Disneyfication of travel. Hill notes that Scorpios need shadows. They need depth. A place that's too bright and happy is actually a turnoff if it lacks substance.
So they see the cracks in the facade.
And they resent it. For a Scorpio who craves authenticity, it feels like being lied to. If a destination feels like a set piece, like filtered perfection with no dark corners, they feel insulted. They just check out.
And then we have Leo, the lion. They love the spotlight.
Which is why they should never, ever go to a destination that tells you to blend in.
I love this one. The idea of a Leo blending in is just laughable.
It is completely contrary to their nature. Hill says Leo did not pack personality to disappear politely.
Right. You don't bring your best outfits to be invisible.
Exactly. If a travel guide advises, dress modestly, don't draw attention, a Leo subconsciously takes that as a challenge. Hill warns they will draw attention out of spite.
Just to prove they exist.
Yes. Sending them to a place where modesty and invisibility are the highest virtues is just asking for trouble.
Okay, we have one final group. Theme 4, atmosphere and emotion. This covers Cancer, Aquarius, and Pisces. This feels like the deep end of the pool.
It is. These signs are hypersensitive to the vibe, the emotional resonance of a place. It's not about how it looks, it's about how it feels.
Let's look at Cancer first. The sign of emotional safety, nostalgia.
They need to feel held by their environment, so their nightmare is the ultra-modern business city.
Ah, the glass and steel jungle.
Hill describes these places as an assault on a Cancer spirit. She talks about lobbies that smell faintly of ambition.
That is such a depressing description. It sounds like anxiety and overpriced coffee.
It completely drains a Cancer. They need places with memory, with history, with warmth. If their hotel room looks like a backdrop for a Zoom call, they will not sleep. They need a B&B with a friendly ghost, not a skyscraper with a smart elevator.
Now, Aquarius, the visionary, the humanitarian.
Their do not go is kind of the opposite. They should avoid hyper-traditional destinations that resist change.
Wait, I thought Aquarius people loved history.
They love history, but they hate stagnation. They're future-oriented, they're fixers. If a place prides itself on how it's always been and refuses to evolve, the Aquarius traveler will spend the entire trip mentally redesigning the city.
They can't just enjoy the view. They have to fix the traffic flow in their head.
They cannot help it. They see the inefficiencies. They see how it could be better. So a place stuck in the past is just a source of constant frustration for them.
And finally, Pisces, the dreamer.
For Pisces, the enemy is overscheduled, achievement-based travel.
The checklist vacation. See the Louvre by 9, the Tower by 10.
Yes. If a trip feels like a performance review with boxes to tick, the Pisces soul simply slips out the side door.
I can just visualize that. Their body is there, but their eyes are completely glazed over.
Exactly. They've dissociated. Pisces need softness. They need what Hill calls unaccounted-for time. They need to wander and get lost. A rigid march through a city just crushes them.
So we covered all the signs. And honestly, even if you think astrology is total nonsense, these archetypes are so recognizable. We all know a control freak or a comfort seeker.
That's the beauty of it. The Zodiac is just a framework for talking about personality psychology.
But the source has this section at the end called the pushback no one asked for.
Ah, the reality check section.
And it feels like a bit of a personal attack, honestly. She anticipates that even after hearing all this, you're going to book the trip anyway.
Yes. She writes, "You will still go where you shouldn't. You will insist this time will be different. You will say you're more flexible now."
I feel incredibly seen by that. I have definitely told myself, I'm more flexible now. Right before booking a camping trip, that made me question my will to live.
We all do it. It's the optimism bias. We treat travel like a dressing room. We think, maybe in Peru, I'm the kind of person who wakes up at 4 a.m. to hike.
We want to try on a new personality, be the cool, breezy traveler.
Exactly. But Hill's point is sharp. She says, the stars are not impressed by this optimism. They are experienced.
That cuts deep. The stars are experienced.
It just means your personality is formed, it's resilient. You are not going to suddenly love discomfort just because you crossed a border. The most successful trip isn't the one that challenges you to be someone else. It's the one that fits who you actually are.
It's funny, there's so much pressure, especially now, to book the perfect trip, the bucket list trip. But maybe the perfect trip is just the one where you don't have to fight yourself the whole time.
That's it. It's about acceptance. If you hate crowds, don't go to Venice in July. It sounds so simple, but the entire travel industry is built on selling us fantasies of who we could be.
So practically speaking, for our listeners planning their 2026 travels, what's the takeaway?
You need to be brutally honest. Look at your past trips. What were the moments you actually hated? Not the ones you laugh about now, but the moments you were genuinely unhappy. Was it the heat, the crowds, the uncertainty?
The chairs that hate spines.
The chairs, yes. Identify those triggers, and then when you're looking at that glossy brochure that promises paradise, ask yourself, does this trip have those triggers?
And if it does,
Have the courage to say no, even if everyone else says it's a must-visit.
that is a really powerful idea, to say, that looks amazing for someone else, but it's an absolute nightmare for me.
It is. We live in a world of infinite choices. We can go almost anywhere. And maybe the ultimate luxury in 2026 isn't going everywhere. It's having the confidence to admit where you simply should not be.
The ultimate luxury is admitting where you shouldn't be. That is going to stick with me.
It saves you money, time, and your sanity.
Well, there you have it. Before you hit book on that flight, maybe check in with your personality first. Don't let the internet in a lab coat bully you into a vacation you're going to hate.
And remember, the stars are tired of pretending. Maybe you should be too.
Thank you all for listening to this deep dive. We hope this saves you from at least one deeply questionable trip this year.
Safe travels, everyone. Or, safe staying at home if that's what your sign actually needs.
See you next time.